Ashmains, where did they come from? Where did they go? And why are they just so groovy? Amongst Dead by Daylight's licensed characters, Ash stands out as being somewhat unique for almost exclusively appealing to an older demographic. Sure, Ash has some modern day appeal in that he had a TV show that ran through the mid to late 2010s. His franchise has seen modern box office success with 2013's Evil Dead as well as the sequel Evil Dead Rise. And he even has a skin in Fortnite, which, despite being a very solid game fundamentally, is mostly aimed at children whose parents' credit cards can pay for V-Bucks. Even in spite of his alleged lost luster, Ash still has his ardent supporters, and at the time of recording, Nightlight's official stats have Ash as the 39th most popular survivor out of 44, so not ideal, but not horrible either. Hello everybody, I'm DustFood, and somehow I'm still trapped in that storage container. Thankfully, I only have 42 or so more videos to go until I'm released, so you may as well hit the subscribe button since I'm gonna be here for a while. Really groovy viewers would also hit the bell, but I'm not trying to ask too much of you. You do you. We're 3 videos into this series now, so surely you know how this goes. Just like we did for Tap and Jeff, we're going to dive deep into Ashley J. Williams, and look at who he is, how he is, why he is, and then wrap up by discussing his perks, his cosmetics, and whether or not he passes the vibe check. So, without further ado, who is Ash Williams? Well, to be honest, he's kind of hard to describe due to the multiple and distinct aspects of his personality. Ash is a goofy but capable scoundrel who lives to flirt with women, polish his beloved Oldsmobile, and occasionally take time from his busy schedule to save the world from the forces of hell itself. In short, Ash is something of a walking contradiction. On the one hand, he's a broke washout who has almost nothing going for him. He hits on ladies with something resembling himbo or Johnny Bravo energy, and is casually ignorant to those who are trying to love him, such as Kelly and Pablo. On the surface, Ash is every guy you know who peaked in high school, hanging out around his old Michigan stomping grounds and wasting his life away. But then there's the other hand. No offense intended to Ash, who did actually lose one of his hands. The other hand where Ash is the savior of the human race. The one where he is nearly single-handedly, haha, there we go again, responsible for denying the powers of evil many times over. Because here's the thing, Ash is abrasive, sometimes he's pig-headed, and he's not the first guy you would invite to hang out if you had your choice. But behind all of that, he's also absurdly capable and infinitely survivable. He may not exactly be a saint, but when the world's on the line and there's evil that needs some killing, Ash Williams is your man. So with all of that said, let's move on to question 2. How is Ash Williams? Well, honestly, he's probably doing as well as you can expect for a guy in his situation. Sure, he's locked in an endless cycle of pain and torment just for the amusement of an eldritch demon of some kind, but as funny as it sounds, that's not entirely out of the ordinary for Ash. He's traveled through time, he's fought monsters straight from hell, he's battled it out with Jason Voorhees, and he's taken more than a few beatings along the way. If losing loved ones, limbs, and frankly, his mind, wasn't enough to break Ash, then the entity has no shot. So yeah, Ash is doing fine. It's actually the spider monster that I think we should worry about. I think it's in danger. And now for question number 3. Why is Ash? This one could not be simpler. Ash joined DVD because the devs wanted to get some Evil Dead representation, and to put it as bluntly as I can, nobody else in that franchise is even close to being as important to the brand's popularity as Ash. Though I genuinely enjoyed the darker Evil Dead reboots of the 2010s and 2020s, this series doesn't exist without Ash. So when it came time to add an Evil Dead chapter, there was only one very groovy choice to make. It's also worth noting that in somewhat of a technicality, the chapter was for the TV show Ash vs. Evil Dead and not the Evil Dead film franchise. They actually don't have the rights to the films, and that's likely why we've never seen anything like Evil Ash or Castle Kandar. Now, they could likely get those rights, but as things currently stand, they do not have them. Anyway, the Ash vs. Evil Dead chapter released in April of 2019 and came with Ash Williams, and Ash Williams. If you were hoping for a killer like Eligos or some legendary survivor skins, forget about it. You get Ash, and TBH, that's more than enough. And to drive the point home further, basing the chapter on the TV show meant that the survivor pretty much had to be Ash. Yes, Kelly and Pablo are fan favorites, everybody loves them, but they're just not on Ash's level when it comes to popularity. Adding them instead of Ash would have been like if Dead by Daylight did a Nightmare on Elm Street chapter, and instead of adding Robert Englund's Freddy and Heather Langenkamp's Nancy, they did remake Freddy and like, I don't know, that Quentin guy. It would just be silly. Nobody would go for that. Ash was the obvious choice here. They had to roll with Ash. There could have been a case made for choosing one of the leads from the two newer films, but they were smart to go with Ash either way, I think, because as much as I enjoy the newer films, as much as I really think they did a good job with those, I bet you can't name the main characters from Evil Dead 2013 or Evil Dead Rise without looking them up. They're just not the type of headline stealers that Ash is. Despite being good characters, I like them. Of course, Behavior doesn't just add licenses because they want to. There has to be some financial edge for a license to earn its place, and in the case of Ash, he was designed to appeal to old school horror fans. He's a character that's classically cool and appeals to a more seasoned generation of horror fans. He's kind of almost stuck in the past in the same way as like a Ron Burgundy or something like that. Now, that's not to say that younger people can't enjoy the Evil Dead franchise. I absolutely think they can, and if you haven't watched it and you like horror films, by all means, go watch it. Evil Dead 2 is one of my personal favorite horror films of all time. It's fantastic. It's just that horror has changed a lot, especially since the 70s and the 80s, and I'm not really sure how well known Ash is amongst people, let's say in their early 20s or younger. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong on this one. I would love for there to just be a fiery, fervent passion for Ash Williams and the Evil Dead franchise, and really all of Sam Raimi's work. Drag Me to Hell was a good one if you haven't seen it, but I would imagine that Ash appeals to an older crowd, probably 40s and up, even though, I mean, I'm almost 30 and I love the film, so who knows, maybe there is some crossover here. Moving on, let's talk about perks, because like all survivors, Ash Williams brought 3 unique perks to the game with him. In his case, these are Steroid Shot, Power Nap, and Tank Main. First up, we'll talk about Steroid Shot. This one has 2 effects, as it makes it so that you and a down teammate can both see the killer's aura as long as you are healing said teammate, which is nice. Once the heal is complete and they are out of the dying state, that teammate runs at 150% movement speed and leaves no scratch marks for 5 seconds. Best of all, this speed burst doesn't make them exhausted, meaning if the killer pursues them, they can still use Lithe, Balanced, Dead Hard, or whatever exhaustion perk they're running. Now, far be it for me to judge, but I would love to know what Ash is giving his teammates to get them up and running like that. My first guess would be Blight Serum, but there's really no way of knowing. Whatever it is, the perk pairs exceedingly well with David King's We're Gonna Live Forever or Zarina Kassir's For the People. Basically, you want one of these perks to guarantee speedy pickups, because killers don't often stray far from a slugged survivor. This perk is really good for coordinated teams, but I'll warn you now that it's much harder to get consistent use out of it in solo queue. I'm not saying it can't happen, but it is a lot harder without comms. Moving on, we get to Power Nap, which is likely Ash's easiest perk to explain. All it does is, when you're down, it converts recovery progress into wiggle progress, which can help you get out of otherwise certain hook situations. However much you're recovered, 50% of that will be attributed to the wiggle bar, meaning you can be halfway to wiggling out as soon as the killer picks you up, which is actually pretty strong. As you might expect, this goes especially well with other perks that make it harder for the killer to hook you, namely Kate Denson's Boil Over or Elodie Riccotto's Power Struggle. Both of these can help you out a lot, as Boil Over may keep the killer swaying long enough for you to break out, while Power Struggle is more likely to proc if you've got it locked and loaded as soon as the killer picks you up. Power Nap's best companion, however, is Bill Overbeck's Unbreakable, which helps you recover more quickly on the ground. Last and possibly least, we have Tank Main, which is all about taking damage for your teammates. This perk will test a man's mettle by making him eat 3 protection hits from the killer. After that, the perk activates and the next hit that would have put you in the dying state doesn't count. It also reveals your aura to the killer after you heal, but believe me, killers have a lingering hatred for this perk after how it ruined the meta back in the day, so they'll know where you are. They're going to be keenly aware. This perk has great synergy with Yui Kimura's Breakout, as you can deny the killer by taking a protection hit while also speeding up your friend's wiggle progress. Real Giga Chads can get even more value out of this perk by running dead hard with it, so that they can take not one, but 2 hits for their teammate, all but ensuring they wiggle out while also getting your tank main stacks quicker. I mean, you will get tunneled out for it, but hey, that's lore accurate. Evil really hates Ashe, so that checks out. When it comes to cosmetics, Ashe already has a really solid one that he starts off with. It's just his base look that's actually rather famous for how plain it is. It's the basic slacks, it's the blue long sleeve t-shirt, it's the iconic mug of Bruce Campbell, who is of course just fantastic in the role, and it's so cool that he came in to help with this one. Probably the only thing that's kind of out of the ordinary for him here is that he actually has the mechanical hand that Pablo makes for him in the show. It comes in red and blue, so you get to pick which one you prefer more. Yeah, it's a classic look. It looks great. I love it. Moving over to the store, we get the water trash skin, which is, it's so fun. It's so funny. I love getting the socks with Crocs, the socks with Chocks, whatever you want to call it. I guess they do look more like maybe, like Chacos or something, or Birkenstocks. But anyway, it comes with the funny little shorts that look great and pair well with his other cosmetics. The shirt is fantastic, and it gets ashy slashy while he's still cute. He's not all scary looking yet. So yeah, this is a fantastic cosmetic. It's one that I think you see a lot of Ashes running. It's something that I run very frequently. It is a total winner top to bottom. Not to get ahead of myself, but more on it in a bit. Next up, we get the one that I think they just call it Ashy Slashy, and it's basically his asylum get up where, you know, he finds the puppet in an asylum in the show, I believe. It's been a long time since I saw the show, but yeah, so this comes with the more obviously evil looking Ashy Slashy, and he's just dressed from head to toe like he's from Outlast or something like that. It does come in the variant of having, you get the basic one and then you get the Deep Rift, which if it's Deep Rift, you know, it's just gonna be blue for no particular reason. I hope they improve on that one day. But anyway, it looks nice. It looks nice. You don't see a lot of people rocking this one, but it is definitely a fun and lore accurate cosmetic, so that's fun. Moving on from there, we get his working for the weekend cosmetic, which is obviously it's his look for where he, if you don't know, he works at somewhere called S Smart, Shop S Smart in the show. And this is just his vest. It's his slacks. He's got a little kind of what looks like maybe a wooden hand or something. I guess maybe it's gloved. I'm not really sure. To me, this is probably his weakest cosmetic, but I'm actually still glad it's in the game because it's a part of his character and it's part of his lore. So it's cool to have it. I just don't know if I can bring myself to buy it. And then we get to his finale cosmetic, which again, I'm sorry, I don't remember the show that well. I think this is what he was wearing in the series finale. Maybe I'm off on that, but it comes with this sick, really dope coat. I love it. And it comes with a very human looking hand, which is kind of interesting. You don't see that a lot. So very cool. This one is probably his most serious cosmetic, and I think it turned out really well. Now, if we want to do the whole disaster piece thing, which I like to do if I have the opportunity to, I think it has to have scary looking Ashy Slashy, has to have the really cool coat, and then has to have the tiny little short shorts. It's such an incongruous look that it just doesn't really work, and that's the point. It's a disaster piece. It's fun, it's funny. You get the stocks with socks paired with the coat and all that. It's fun. I think it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely a disaster piece. For his best cosmetic, however, I think it's actually one that we don't have to mix and match. It's just his Jacksonville one. It's his water trash. I think this one's so great because, you know, when I was trying to decide what his best one was, I realized, okay, this one has my favorite hand, it has my favorite top, and it has my favorite bottom. So it's got to be the best one. It's got to be the winner. Now, some people may prefer the scarier Ashy Slashy or the hand because they don't like seeing the puppet do things, but I think it's funny watching the puppet like eat a flashlight or a toolbox or whatever. This is a fantastic one. I think it's really fun. It's really fun, and Ashe is supposed to be fun as a character. So overall, they killed it. This is his best cosmetic. And finally, we have reached the part of the video where we have to see if the character, more specifically, the mains of the character pass the vibe check. And I think this one, I don't know, it's tough. I was gonna say more so than anybody we've covered to this point, but you know, Jeff and Tap have pretty cool mains. But no, I think Ashe may actually have the mains that pass the vibe check the most out of everybody we've talked about to this point. Ashe mains are not serious. They play a character that's really tall and really loud, so you don't get any of the sweaty competitive types who just kind of ruin the vibe of a game. You just really get people who are out here to have fun. You get people who want to be groovy. They want to get into the headspace of Ash Williams, and it's great. They really do pass the vibe check. I find them to be some of the most pleasant people you're going to play with, even though you're not going to play with that many of them. So that's a little unfortunate. Overall, yes, I absolutely give Ash a passing grade. His mains get a passing grade. Very much passes the vibe check. And I would love to see Ash jump up to being like a top 10 most played survivor. Though maybe that would lose some of the secret sauce. But ultimately, that is all I have to say on the matter. It is now up to you. Firstly, I do want to thank everyone who voted in our poll. Ash ran away with that one with, I think, 42% of the vote. So very cool to see that. Thank you all. Obviously, everybody else in the poll will eventually get a video, but they may not be the very next ones. We shall see. Either way, I thank you so much for tuning in to my small little channel here. I always appreciate the people that take the time out of their day to watch these. You are the absolute best. I hope you're having a fantastic day wherever you are. And until the next one, I've been Das Food. Bye, friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase me.